Nakra.
Hi guys, my name is Visklugers and today I will be talking about Shadoe of Mordor. Now that I have had like almost 30 hours of gameplay of it, I have 100% completed it, collected everything and done everything you can, and now I have kind of formed opinion on what do I like the game in general. Now, let's just get out the bat that it is a really good game. But I would like to start with a bit more negative stuff to just give you fast examples that what kinda holds back the game just a little bit to not make it like the best game of all times. I mean, like that it's not. It has the potential to be like the game of the year, but there's a couple of flaws. And here are some following that I have noticed. Now, I did not so much like the plot and how it's being told and how you kind of feel the plot, that you don't get immersed in it, and you really don't care about any of the characters except maybe the Italian, who's the main character, but you really don't give a fuck. And it seems like that the Italian, the character you play as, that he doesn't even give a fuck either. So the plot kinda fails in that aspect. The plot was written by the guy who was behind the plot of Red Dead Redemption, and that was really damn good game. I really enjoyed the plot, but it kind of failed in this game. It's not that the plot is bad, it's okay, but it doesn't kind of suck you into the universe, and when something happens you'll never be like, holy shit, what the fuck, oh god, that dude can't die, or something like that. It's like every single time something big happens, you're like, meh, okay. It doesn't raise any emotions in you. And the second thing that is a really big bummer is that I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but the ending is very disappointing. It's like you've been building up to this moment, and then it's just like, there's your ending, and it's like, what? This is the ending? And it kinda ends like with a sequel bait. So there you have it. We'll see if they will make a sequel, but yeah, the ending is just, compared to the game and overall, and even to the story overall, it's just shit ending. It's just shitty ending. It's pretty, it looks pretty, but story wise and gameplay wise, it's just like, oh, this is it, really? And moving on, the boss battles, and I mean the scripted boss battles, not the Nemesis boss battles, the scripted boss battles. There aren't many in that game. It's just like, well, it depends on what you count as boss battles. Maybe like 4, maybe 5, and they're really, most of them at least, are really like boring. There's a couple of which is like basically QTs all the way through, basically, and there's not a lot of flavor to them. It's like you're kind of fighting the same Nemesis bosses, but they have just a little bit different skin, and you're restricted in a lot of ways. And you can't prepare any, you can't do any kind of preparation, and you're just thrown into like a fighting pit or something, and there's not a lot of you can do. There's like one strategy that you have to exploit, and they're just boring. They look really good, and the enemy models, the boss models, they look absolutely fucking cool. And they're really badasses. But they're just so disappointing. I think the Nemesis bosses are like a lot more fun to fight. And the next problem is with the controller. Now, I don't think you will have this problem on PC, but at least on the controller, and I used the PS4, I had a problem that there were several things or like actions attached to single button. So it can mean that you end up doing something that you were not supposed to do. That you want to do something and the character does something else because it's tied in the same button. So it doesn't happen often, but I was like long thinking that what the hell is happening when you have the combo streak. Because when you do a combo streak, you have all sorts of combat finishers and stuff you can do. And if you lose the combo, you don't get to do them. So, if you want to do a combat finisher, which instantly kills enemies, you have to press triangle and square at the same time. Now, sometimes if you don't press them exactly the same time, like there's a split second between them, it might think that, oh, you want to press triangle and then the circle, or circle and triangle, which means that then you're gonna block and parry. And if you can't block anyone, if there's no one attacking, it's going to block nothing. And if you kind of block nothing or hit nothing, you're gonna lose all your combo streak. And if you lose all your combo, you can't do your combat finisher, and it can really fuck yourself over in a tight spot. So I was wondering that in many occasions I just lost my combo and was like, what the hell happened? No one hit me or anything. What's going on? But I think that's what it's all about. But if there would have someone been attacking you at the same time, then it's not so big deal. But maybe you're in a really tight spot with a boss battle and so on. It can really fuck yourself over. But that's about the bad things. What about the good things? So it's an open world game and there's a lot of free roaming to do. And you can really basically go anywhere and pretty much whenever you want, however you want, and you can basically climb anything and do anywhere. But there's the problem, you never know that if you actually can climb this surface or not, because there's a lot. Basically you can climb like 90% of the time anything you want, but then there are that 10% of the time where you can't, and you can be like trying to stealth somewhere and then you just suddenly can't climb or something like that, and it's just really annoying that then you do just glitches into the wall and you're like, oh god, I can't climb apparently. And speaking of glitching into a wall, your character does quite frequently get stuck, or at least stuck for a moment on different types of terrain because you can't climb over it or run through it or anything. And it's really frustrating, but you can't. I haven't ever permanently been stuck on anywhere, because you most of the times can walk or run away from these spots, but you also will gain abilities to kind of teleport and stuff that you will get out of the spots with that as well. A lot of people compare it to the Assassin's Creed games, and rightfully so, it's very much like Assassin's Creed games. But as from the free roaming perspective, the Assassin's Creed works a lot better, and I mean a lot better. because in Assassin's Creed you kind of have the kind of like walking mode and parkour mode when you just run around and jump, but you can also manually jump. In Shadow of Mordor you cannot manually jump, which kind of means that you run into a edge or a ledge of a building or a cliff or whatever, and then you're like, well, go that direction, and you can't kind of control if the character will jump or just go somewhere in that direction, and it rarely goes where you intended it to go. If you're just climbing and dropping yourself out of a ledge and just kind of like doing basic parkouring, then it works really well. But if you try to, jump from a roof to a second roof or to some kind of pillar, yes, you can do that, but it's really rare that it actually works the way you intended it to work. And that is really frustrating. But later on in the game, you will kind of get to learn more about how the system works and to kind of get different kind of options and routes so that you can exploit. So it at the beginning it's really big frustration, but then it kind of gets better. But overall, the free roaming is very, very nice, and you kind of feel free knowing that you can basically climb anywhere and do anything you want. And in Assassin's Creed you kind of can do the same, but in the Shadow of Mordor you have more freedom with it. Now, moving on, the voice acting in this game is really, really, really good. I can't remember any character who would have been like bad voice actor. All people have had some game that there's just at least one dude or chick who's like really terrible at voice acting, that it just does not meet the character model. But in this game, all the voice actors are really good. They really match up their characters, and they really feel good to listen. And it kind of builds up this more cinematic feeling that really the cinematics feel like you're watching a movie, and that's really good. But if the plot would be better, it would be really extremely good. But because the plot is not so good, it kinda holds it back, kinda wasting a bit of the potential of the skilled voice actors this game has. Now, what is I think the biggest strength and the plus side of this game is one of its core mechanics, and that is the Nemesis system, and it really, really is really good. Now, first of all, you're gonna notice that you're gonna have a unique experience, because everyone's gonna have different kinds of bosses. They look different, they talk in a different kind of tone and voice, and they have different dialogue options, and they will have actually different weapons and abilities. So it kind of spices things up further and further into the game. You will kind of meet the same, you kind of can see the patterns that, okay, there's this and this amount of classes and this amount of different types of orcs. But of course there has to be some limitations, but basically you have your own experience, and at least in the beginning you have very different kinds of bosses than your friend might have. And the most interesting idea that this game had is, I think, something that I personally been like a long time waiting, that when does this kind of stuff happen, that when you die it does not load the game, it does not say you have failed, try again. It actually just says that, okay, you done fucked it up, this guy is now even stronger who killed you, and it advances in time, and the orc society, which means all the bosses that are currently alive, I can't remember how many there are, but it's like around 20 bosses or so, maybe more. They will not, maybe not all, but most of them do something during that time. Maybe they have a feast, or they have initiation, or they try to promote bodyguards or something like that, and they will gain more strength, they will gain more abilities, they will be even tougher to kill, they don't have that much weaknesses anymore. And some of them will die resulting of that, and there will come new boss recruits or something like that. They're not so tough, but they will start to raise the ranks as well by the time. And this leads to the second really good thing about the Nemesis system, is that they have that this game actually rewards you so well for gaining intel that you actually want to gain intel, because you don't know any of these bosses. They're like blackened out, and you have to gain intel on them. If you have met them, you know kind of what class is he using crossbow or a polearm and a sword, but you don't know much about much more. You know his, like, I don't know, is it power level or something, which is from 1 to 20, which kind of indicates how bad he is, but you don't know anything else. Now you have to find intel or kind of interrogate orcs or something like that to reveal the specific boss's stats, and that will show you his strengths and weaknesses. And I had a really tough boss once, and I had already failed once to kill him, and I was like, holy shit, how can I kill this dude, because he's like invulnerable to combat finishers, and he regenerates health, and he has shields, so I can damage him from the front, and he blocks attempts to go the wall over him, and some stuff, all sorts of crazy stuff. He was like immovable object, and I was like, holy shit, I can't kill this dude at this point. But then I realized that, holy shit, this guy is vulnerable to stealth finishers, so I could actually kill that guy in one single stealth kill or stealth blow. So I just lured him to a rune and jumped off a cliff and still finished him, and wham, one hit kill. And that's just one of the examples that is kind of that you want to know the enemy, that what you want to use against them. Also, I had like a war chief that was really epic, but he was vulnerable to beasts, or like, I don't know, but I didn't even have to fight him. I just released some beasts and they just took care of him. So at the beginning of the game, when you're not that powerful, it's really the key of killing your bosses, to know them, know what to do. In addition to the bosses being unique in skills and abilities, they also have their own individual memory. So if you have encountered them before, if they have like killed you before, for instance, they will remember that, and they will notify that, hey, what the hell, I killed you already, that why are you still here, and all sorts of stuff. And this game has so huge library of dialogue on the enemy bosses that I bet that even though I have played it 100% through, I probably haven't heard all of that, all of the dialogue. I probably haven't. I'm quite sure I haven't, because there's so many different orc personalities, and every single thing, if you're riding a beast, if you try to stealth kill an enemy, or ranged attack or anything, they will notify it. They will notify basically anything, and it will alter what they will say. And that is just amazing. I think I haven't ever seen a game that has so many like dialogue options that the enemy will say to you, like depending on what your actions have been. I think that the stealth element of this game actually works better than in Assassin's Creed games. Because, yeah, sure, you can play stealthily in Assassin's Creed, but in this game, well, the enemy AI is kinda stupid when it comes to stealth, but yeah. But you really can stealth everything. Well, there are bosses that will quite fast gain the ability to be invulnerable to stealth kills, but at the beginning most of them are vulnerable to stealth, and the normal goons will of course be killed by stealth every single time. And this game really, at least in the beginning, kind of it doesn't force you to use stealth, but it rewards you by using stealth, because you can instantly kill every enemies and bosses as well. So it really works. And since you are not that powerful in the beginning, you may wanna take the stealth route, because in the strongholds, if you raise the alarm, there's gonna be so many orcs swarming in. You might try to kill a boss who's protected by, let's say, five orcs. So 1 boss, 5 orcs. You go there, you try to kill them all, and one of them raises the alarm, and suddenly you're fighting against 4 bosses and around 100 orcs. That is possible, and at the beginning it's going to happen. At the end you're gonna be killing the orcs so fast that it won't kind of reach up to the hundreds, but at the beginning you really do not have that much power, and killing a single orc will take some time. Not to mention that there's like specialized orcs and archers and all those bosses that you have to dodge and stun and stuff. It takes a lot more time to kill an individual orc, and there's constantly coming more and more orcs, and at some point you can't survive. Well, you kinda can, of course you can, but it's so extremely hard that you basically can't. One more thing about the Nemesis bosses is that because their skills and traits are pretty much random, there are some that are tied to their class, but most of them are still random. It can lead to really nasty bosses that are almost like game breaking. 2 that I have met is the infamous multiple shot no chance crossbow boss, because every single time you encounter a boss they will present a dialogue in a kind of half cinematic where you can't do anything, and the second the cinematic ends he's gonna one-shot you every single time, because the bosses have quite powerful attacks, and they can have traits that makes those attacks even more powerful, and they can have like poison attacks, and they can have attacks that make you bleed over time, and then crossbow attacks can be multiple shot. So the second you kinda can do stuff, you can hit like 4 times or so, and it's gonna kill you from full health. And if that's comboed with the no chance, you're gonna just instantly die, because there's the last chance mechanic where you can try to salvage yourself from the death. But that is just really annoying that you can get one-shotted. But if you just press the dodge all the way when the cinematic is going, you might survive. Now the second boss is the defender boss, the one with the shield and the pole arm, and it's exactly the same thing. He might have these traits that make him really powerful attacks, and he always attacks like 3 or 4 times in very rapid succession. It's like and you're dead, and that will happen instantly within a second when the cutscene ends. So it can really ruin your day. Then if the boss is like a humiliator or a like last chance, no chance dude, he will disappear or outright kill you when he hits you. So it can be really frustrating, but at the same time, the moment you get to kill these dudes, it's even more satisfying than anything else. Now, what's been very much advertised about this game is the branding system, so that you can brand pretty much anything and anyone in the game to gain control over that NPC and fight for you. But you will get this ability like when you are 60-70% through the game, so it's not a thing that you will start with. It's actually quite end game stuff, but it's really fun to do. It gives you a whole bunch of new stuff to do, and it opens so many new routes to different objectives, and it kind of opens a new world. You haven't been able to do this in any games. For instance, Assassin's Creed, you kind of have to think every single time that if I kill this guy, he won't spot me if I go there, and then I have to stealth kill that guy. But in this, you can actually brand that guy, and maybe you don't even need to stealth kill anyone. But I've been taking out bosses so that I've just branded like every single crossbowman from a stronghold, and then just ordered them to shoot in sight and never had to engage the boss myself. What better it is to find a ridiculously powerful boss and then brand the boss and make him fight for you. That is something that's been really fun, to then just make him challenge other enemy bosses and just see them whack and slash each other to death. And of course you can help them and help them to increase in power and get even more badass. And it will allow you to kinda create your own army of NPCs, which is just really goddamn cool. Now, what's kind of been failed in the plot and like building the plot has been kind of been revived with the progression of your character. Now, as I've been telling, you start off as a very weak ranger who he's been limited to normal attacking and blocking enemy attacks as they come, and you can dodge roll and vault over enemies, but that's about it. You have the bow, but it has, I think, like 4 munition, maybe 6, but I think it's like 4 munition, and you will run out of that very fast. There's of course ways to get more, but if you're like in the midst of combat, there's very little that you can do. And there's, when you do all these kind of so-called power missions or something like that, which kinda every single mission that has to do something with an enemy boss will grant you power points or whatever they are, and if you kill a boss it will grant you more. And if you gain certain amount of these, you will get a skill point. Also, you will gain skill points by just with XP, and you pretty much gain XP from anywhere, killing normal goons and doing missions. Everywhere you will gain XP. And with these skill points, you will allow some certain skills to be unlocked. And when you start to unlock these skills, it's not that, 50% more health and 50% more damage. It's not like that. They're like all opens like a bit different approach. Well, not every single one, but most of them like open up a new combat finisher or a new kind of stun mechanic or teleportation. There's so many cool stuff in there. Of course, there are also these kind of passive boosts that you have more ammunition, you have more health and so forth, but they are totally separate kind of tree of unlocks. And once you start to get like these critical hit thingies from the skill tree and combat finishers and all sorts of crazy stuff, you're gonna be like starting from like a really underpowered ranger who struggles against a mob of 10 orcs to like a god on earth who just evaporates everything. And it's really rewarding, and it does not go only to a personal skill level, but it actually makes your character stronger, and it's just really good. The game does not have an inventory system, but it has this rune system. Now you can unlock up to 5 rune slots on each of your weapons, and you have the dagger, the sword and the bow, and each of them can have 5 rune slots. And how do you gain runes? You will gain runes by killing enemy bosses, and they can be like a normal runes that are leveled from 1 to I believe 23, and the bigger the level, the better the rune. And there are quite a big variation on what the runes will do, and this is also a kind of mechanic that makes you really weak at the beginning, because you can have like 1 rune per weapon and they're pretty bad. But once you start to get into the end game and you actually have 5 runes per weapon, and they start to be quite powerful runes, there's a lot of different kind of combos that you can actually make with those, and it's really fun and rewarding to kind of mix and match what will work for you the best. And the rune system also gives you kind of a reason to try to hunt down the biggest and most badass bosses that there are in the Nemesis system available, because they will drop the best kind of runes, and there also are epic runes that they are like necessarily the best choice, but they add a bit more twist to your character. Maybe it's like they're like, maybe if you kill a boss you can gain full health automatically at that moment, or maybe if you do a combat finisher you gain more arrows, or there's numerous different kinds of things. Some of them are really good, some of them are mediocre at best. But what really makes this game fun is the Arkham style combat. The combat is so satisfying, and that is kinda where this game is built on. It's built on to enjoyable combat. It really works well. The only problem that I've been having it is with the with the controller, but otherwise it is phenomenally good. And all these different kinds of runes that you can put to your weapons, and these combat finishers, and different kinds of move sets and everything, it just adds so much spice to the game. And I think this is a very good game, despite it having a few flaws here and there. If you are a person who liked their newest Batman games, the Arkham series or the Assassin's Creed series, you should pick this up. Especially if you are in the Lord of the Rings. If you like the Lord of the Rings stuff, you should pick this game up. It's really goddamn good, and it looks pretty as well. It is, I think, one of the games that you should buy. And what was actually kinda interesting is that this game wasn't so much hyped. Yeah, of course there were hype around it, but this kind of game wasn't overhyped at all. This actually is really good, and it delivered all the promises. It delivered all the promises, unlike a lot of AAA games these days. This game should gain your interest, and it is something that everyone can recommend with an open heart. So, have you already played the game? Leave us into the comments of what do you think about this game. Personally, I love it, and if you like this video, please put the thumbs up in the video, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope I see you in the next video.